A forsaken ship reclaimed by human mechanic. Now the deadliest war machine in the galaxy, Cale Merrick had always been drawn to the edges of things. The forgotten, the broken, the abandoned. In the sprawling scrapyards of the Orion Belt, where humanity scavenged scraps from the ruins of alien wars, he moved with a confidence others lacked. While most scavengers stuck to small freighters and derelict cargo ships, Cale had a taste for the forbidden, for ships that no one dared touch. Rumors had reached him months ago. A warship adrift in the Shadow Nebula, abandoned for decades, its creators extinct, its technology unmatched. Aliens called it cursed. They said it devoured any who stepped aboard. But Cale didn't believe in curses. He believed in skill, in human ingenuity, in the quiet persistence of a mind that refused to be beaten by machines or systems beyond understanding. When he finally reached the coordinates, the warship loomed from the blackness like a graveyard monument. Its hull was cracked and scorched, parts missing, yet even in decay, it radiated power. Cale's pulse quickened, not from fear, but from anticipation. This was unlike anything he had ever seen. He suited up and activated his magnetic grapplers. Floating in zero gravity, he approached the ship's main hatch. It was massive, alien symbols etched along its frame, glowing faintly with residual energy. Cale touched the panel and frowned. The systems were dormant, but traces of a sophisticated AI lingered. "Hello, old friend," Cale whispered. Not that the ship could hear him. Yet. The interior was a labyrinth of alien corridors, dark, silent, and filled with the smell of metal and ozone. Cale's boots clicked against the floor plates as he moved deeper. Panels were shattered, wires dangling like broken veins. He passed rows of weapon banks, now cold and useless, and control rooms where holographic displays had long since gone dark. Despite the decay, Cale saw possibilities. Every system here could be repaired or reconfigured. He touched a control console and it sparked under his fingers. A low hum reverberated through the hull, almost like the ship was breathing. "This is going to be fun," Cale muttered, already imagining what he could do. But the ship was more than just a machine. He felt it, an intelligence waiting, dormant, testing him as he explored. When he reached the central core, he paused. The heart of the vessel pulsed faintly with residual energy. It was unlike any human design, a network of circuits that seemed almost organic, glowing faintly under Cale's touch. "You're not like any ship I've fixed," he said. "But I like a challenge." He set to work. Cale was not a pilot. He was a mechanic, but that was enough. With human intuition and improvisation, he began to interface with the ship's systems. He had no blueprint, no guidance, only his instincts and his tools. And slowly, methodically, the ship responded. Hours passed. Cale repaired power relays, rerouted circuits, replaced broken cores with scavenged components. Each success was small, but critical. The ship's lights flickered on, one corridor at a time. The hum grew louder as if acknowledging his effort. He paused for a moment to rest, leaning against a console. His reflection shimmered faintly on the metal surface. A human, alone, aboard a vessel that could destroy worlds. Cale smiled. "They'll never see it coming," he whispered to no one. Suddenly, a panel flickered and a holographic projection appeared. It was crude at first, just a flicker of alien symbols. Cale's heart raced. He had not expected active systems so soon. Carefully, he tapped the interface, improvising with human logic to decipher the controls. A voice echoed in his mind, a soft alien resonance that made his skin prickle. It was the ship, awakening, testing him. "Identify yourself," it demanded. Cale froze, not from fear, but from awe. He straightened, placing his hand firmly on a console. "I'm Cale Merrick," he said aloud. "I'm here to repair you, to bring you back. If you cooperate, we can both benefit." There was silence, then a faint ripple of energy through the hull. The voice was studying him, calculating. It had never encountered a human as a pilot before. "I see potential," the ship finally said, almost thoughtfully. Cale grinned. "Good. Let's get started then." Over the next few days, he worked tirelessly, moving like a shadow through the corridors. Each repair unlocked a new layer of capability. He learned the ship's architecture, its weapon systems, its engines. He marveled at the alien technology, but never feared it. He trusted human skill and intuition. Alien scanners came online under his guidance, holographic maps of nearby systems appearing for the first time in decades. Weapon banks hummed faintly, calibration lights flickering. The ship was waking from a long slumber, and Cale was its spark. But the galaxy had long memories, and power always attracts attention. Alien traders and scavengers who had once avoided the Shadow Nebula began to detect the ship's reactivation. Whispers spread. A human pilot controlling a vessel beyond imagination. Most dismissed it as rumor, but some feared it. Cale noticed the first signs. Tiny probes approaching the nebula. Scouts that would have avoided the area before. They came to observe, curious, cautious. Cale didn't bother hiding. He knew that humans thrived in situations others found impossible. For the first time, he pushed the ship harder. Engines roared, gravitic stabilizers adjusted, and the vessel moved smoothly through the void. Alien systems that had never been designed for human command responded to human ingenuity, adapting in ways the ship's creators had not anticipated. Late one night as he floated in zero gravity, Cale watched the stars outside the viewport. The ship, once dead and forsaken, now thrummed with life. He ran a hand along the console and felt a connection. Not just mechanical, but almost personal. "You're going to be amazing," he whispered. "We'll show them what humans can do." But then came the warning. The ship's AI pulsed erratically, scanning far into the galaxy. Something had noticed, a faint ripple of alien energy, a presence moving through systems, scanning, searching. Cale's pulse quickened. The galaxy's old wars had left scars, and some remnants still watched. He realized then that this was no longer a simple repair. By bringing the ship to life, he had drawn attention. And the galaxy did not want a human controlling such power. Cale's grin widened. "Good," he said, voice steady. "They won't expect us." And that's exactly how humans win. For the first time in decades, the Shadow Nebula seemed alive. Not just the ship, but the void itself, humming with potential. Cale knew the journey ahead would be dangerous. The galaxy would try to stop him. But he also knew the truth that humans carried in their blood. Where others see limits, we see opportunity. The ship hummed louder, almost in agreement. Cale could feel it responding to his every thought, his every adjustment. This was more than a machine. It was a partner, a weapon, a new beginning. As he floated through the corridors, tools in hand. Cale knew one thing clearly. The galaxy had underestimated humanity once again, and he intended to make them pay attention. The stars outside flickered, distant lights of civilizations unaware that the deadliest war machine in the galaxy had chosen a human mechanic as its master. And somewhere far beyond the nebula, sensors began to blink. Observers noted the sudden surge of energy. The whispers grew into warnings. A human controlling the forsaken ship? Cale smiled to himself. Let's see them try to stop us. Cale Merrick floated through the central corridor of the ship, the hum of the engines vibrating beneath his fingertips. The once silent warship now pulsed with life, its alien systems responding to his touch, his commands, his human intuition. For Cale, the ship wasn't just a tool. It was an extension of himself, a partner in a game the galaxy didn't yet understand. He had spent days repairing and activating the core systems. Now, it was time to see what the vessel could really do. He brought up the ship's tactical displays, scanning nearby star systems. The Shadow Nebula, once an empty graveyard of stars, now teemed with signals. small alien scouts, long-range sensors, probes drifting silently. "They're curious," Cale muttered, his lips curling into a grin. "They don't know what we're capable of yet." With deliberate caution, he pushed the ship forward. The engines responded instantly, alien technology adjusting to his every command. Unlike alien pilots, who relied on rigid calculations and protocols, Cale thought in possibilities. He improvised maneuvers that no system had been programmed to anticipate. Ahead, a cluster of alien scouts appeared on his radar. Sleek, deadly ships designed to kill without hesitation. Cale analyzed their formations, noting the predictable patterns in their movement. He tapped the console, rerouting power to the gravitic stabilizers, and tilted the ship into a trajectory that no alien could have predicted. The scouts reacted too late. Their weapons fired, but Cale had already anticipated the volleys. He laughed quietly as beams passed harmlessly. Human ingenuity had won the first exchange, but this was only the beginning. The scouts sent a signal, warnings that rippled through the nebula. Cale realized the galaxy was waking up. Entire fleets might converge, curious or threatened. And yet, he felt no fear. He had the ship, and more importantly, he had human adaptability, something no alien race could truly match. Over the next few hours, Cale tested every system. The ship's weapons, once inert, now responded to his touch, recalibrating in real time. Energy cannons fired in unconventional patterns. Shield systems adapted to incoming fire faster than any alien protocol allowed. He even experimented with stealth modes, using the ship's own systems to bend light and sensor fields, making it nearly invisible. The first real encounter came at dawn, measured in light minutes rather than hours. A small alien fleet approached, sentinels from a nearby system alerted by the ship's unusual activity. Cale could see them forming a cordon, a standard military formation meant to overwhelm a single ship. He activated the engines and moved with precision, weaving through asteroid fields that no alien pilot would dare navigate at full speed. The aliens opened fire, and the first beam slammed into the hull. Sparks flew and alarms blared, but Cale remained calm. He had anticipated this. "Engage countermeasures," he said to the ship, almost conversationally. The ship responded instantly. Energy fields redirected the blasts, turning them into harmless arcs of light. Cale then rerouted power to the primary weapons, firing a sequence designed not to destroy, but to confuse the enemy sensors. The alien pilots reacted in unison, their systems struggling to predict a pattern that changed with every millisecond. By the time the human mechanic ship appeared fully, the fleet was already scattered, disorganized. Cale laughed aloud. He had done something no alien could have imagined. He had turned the predictable into chaos. But then came the warning from the ship's AI. "KL, incoming fleet. Too many." "This is not a standard patrol. They are a hunting force." The words made him pause. Just for a moment, the human mind, even at its boldest, recognized when the stakes were too high. Hundreds of ships were approaching, weapons primed, war protocols engaged. Humanity had been underestimated before, but this time, the threat was galactic in scale. Cale's grin returned. "Good," he said, voice steady. "Then we show them why humans survive where others fail." He began reconfiguring the ship on the fly, drawing on every bit of his mechanical knowledge and human creativity. Weapon banks were rerouted, shields adjusted for unpredictable angles. The ship responded like a living thing, almost anticipating his thoughts. The first wave hit. Energy blasts slammed against the hull, and the ship shuddered. But Cale had prepared for this. Instead of meeting them head-on, he led the fleet into a dense asteroid belt. The aliens followed blindly, their calculations precise but rigid. Every movement they made was predictable, a flaw Cale exploited fully. He fired energy pulses that ricocheted off asteroids, striking multiple ships at once. Some vessels collided with floating debris. Others miscalculated maneuvers and were shredded by their own weapons. Every step, every adjustment, Kale's human intuition guided the ship, turning impossible odds into manageable chaos. The alien commanders observing from their flagships were stunned. Never had a human been able to command a vessel like this. No alien race relied on improvisation. Predictability was their strength and their weakness. Kale's ship moved like a shadow through the debris, attacking, dodging, adapting. And then, at the perfect moment, he struck. He used the ship's gravitate systems to fling a massive asteroid toward the remaining fleet. Ships were crushed or forced to flee. The galaxy had witnessed a human mind outsmart alien technology. But victory came at a cost. The hull bore deep gouges, systems were stressed beyond design, and the energy core pulsed dangerously. Kale floated in zero gravity, hands on the console feeling the ship's strain under his commands. "You okay in there?" he asked, half joking. The ship responded with a soft hum, almost as if it were answering. Alive, aware, and ready. As the dust settled, Kyle assessed the situation. The fleet had retreated, but he knew it was only temporary. Word of the ship's reactivation and of a human controlling it would spread fast. Every alien power in the sector would be curious, cautious, or outright hostile. Yet Kale felt a thrill. The galaxy had underestimated humanity once again. Where others saw a single human mechanic as insignificant, he had demonstrated strategy, courage, and adaptability beyond their understanding. He accessed long-range communications, scanning for signals from nearby systems. Alien fleets were mobilizing, distant flags of war unfurling. Kale's eyes sparkled with determination. "Let them come," he said. "They'll see what humans can do." That night, Kale floated in the observation deck, looking out at the stars. The Shadow Nebula had never seemed more alive. The abandoned ship was no longer just a relic. It was a symbol of human potential. The AI pulsed beside him, a silent companion. For the first time, Kale realized something profound. The ship wasn't just a weapon. It was a partner, a reflection of human ingenuity. Together, they were something the galaxy had never expected. Far away, alien watchers reported the strange engagement. Analysts and commanders debated how a human could evade and outmaneuver entire fleets. The consensus was clear. Humans were not to be underestimated. And yet Kale knew the galaxy had no idea how far he was willing to go. He would push the ship, push himself, push humanity's limits to claim what others thought impossible. The first wave had been a test. The second, Kale knew, would be more organized, more deadly. And for the first time in his life, he welcomed the challenge. In the darkness of space, with the ship alive beneath his hands, Kale smiled. Humanity had reclaimed a forsaken warship. And now, the galaxy would see why humans survived where others failed. The stars beyond the viewport flickered, distant and cold. Yet within the ship, alive and humming, a new power stirred. Kale touched the console and whispered, almost reverently, "Let's show them what it means to be human." Kale Merrick stood in the ship's central command, hands dancing across alien controls that seemed almost alive beneath his touch. The once abandoned warship now thrummed with power, responding to every thought and command. The Shadow Nebula, silent and foreboding before, was now a stage for a performance the galaxy had never witnessed, a single human commanding a weapon no alien had dared touch. The sensors lit up with dozens of signals. The alien fleets Kale had faced before were nothing compared to this. Hundreds of ships, organized into precise formations, converged on his position. They were not scouts or patrols. They were hunters, sent to eliminate the human and the forsaken vessel he now controlled. Kale's lips curved into a grin. "Well," he said quietly, "let's see what humans can do." He activated the ship's engines, feeling the pulse of alien technology surge beneath him. Every system, every weapon, every shield responded as if anticipating his thoughts. The AI that had once been dormant now moved in tandem with him. an extension of human creativity. The first strike came from the outer edges of the fleet. High-speed drones, sleek and precise. Alien strategy favored overwhelming force, attacking with perfect synchronization. But Kale knew their weakness: rigidity. Humans thrived in chaos, in improvisation. He tilted the ship, weaving through the debris of the nebula. Energy beams slashed past, but Kale had already calculated a path no alien pilot would attempt. Using the ship's gravitic projectors, he manipulated nearby asteroids, hurling them into the fleet like unguided missiles. Ships collided or were forced to evade, breaking formation. Improvise, adapt, survive, Kale muttered. He thought of every human lesson, every instinct honed from years of scavenging, of surviving against impossible odds. Alien technology was superior, but it could not anticipate the human mind. The fleet commander, observing from the flagship, was incredulous. How could a single human, alone, manipulate a forsaken warship and reduce hundreds of elite pilots to confusion? Communications were flooded with warnings and recalculations, yet every response failed to account for Kale's improvisation. Kale didn't just attack, he outthought them. He rerouted energy to shields at precise moments, absorbing volleys meant to cripple him. He fired energy pulses that ricocheted unpredictably, striking ships that were supposedly out of range. He used stealth protocols to vanish from scanners, then reappeared behind the fleet, striking from directions no alien would consider. Hours passed. Kale moved through the battlefield like a shadow, every maneuver a demonstration of human ingenuity. Ships fell one by one, disabled rather than destroyed when possible. Humans valued life and survival, not blind annihilation. Kale was not just fighting, he was teaching, showing the galaxy what a human mind could do under pressure. But the fleet was relentless. Reinforcements arrived, faster, smarter, more coordinated. Kale realized he could not simply rely on improvisation alone. He needed strategy, a human strategy, one the aliens could not calculate or predict. He activated the ship's core systems to full capacity, stretching alien technology beyond its design. Weapons fired in sequences no alien protocol could interpret. Shields shifted in impossible patterns. Gravimetric fields bent space around him, creating illusions of multiple ships where there was only one. The aliens reacted too slowly, their calculations failing to keep up. Kale's mind raced. Every action was a puzzle, every choice a chance to outmaneuver impossible odds. And then he saw it. The flagship of the alien fleet, massive and heavily armed, approaching directly. This was the heart of their command, the source of coordination. Destroy it, and the rest would scatter. Fail, and Kale and his ship would be annihilated. He focused. Human intuition became his greatest weapon. He analyzed the flagship's patterns, noting the rigidity in their formations. Unlike humans, aliens could not improvise. He exploited this, guiding the ship through a narrow corridor of the nebula that should have been impossible to navigate at full speed. The flagship followed, confident in its superior design. Kale waited until the last possible moment, then unleashed a combination of weapon strikes, gravitic pulls and asteroid collisions. The flagship shuddered under the attack, its shields overwhelmed by the unpredictable ingenuity of a human mind. Other ships in the fleet hesitated, confused by the sudden loss of their leader. Kale pressed the advantage, pushing the forsaken vessel beyond its limits. Systems glowed red, engines strained, weapons flared. Yet the ship responded, alive, synchronizing perfectly with Kale's instincts. From the observation deck, Kale watched the chaos he had created. Hundreds of alien ships scattered, unable to maintain formation. Communications faltered. Commanders argued. Pilots hesitated. In the midst of perfection, he had introduced the impossible variable, human creativity. But Kale knew this was only a temporary victory. The alien fleet would regroup, repair, and return, stronger than before. And somewhere, beyond sensors and signals, The galaxy's most dangerous forces were taking note. Humans were no longer weak, no longer expendable. Humanity had shown its capacity to survive, to adapt, to triumph against superior technology. Kale took a deep breath and accessed the ship's tactical systems. He had an idea. A bold, human idea, something no alien could anticipate. Using the ship's energy projectors, he began to create a field of distorted space, a barrier that would force the fleet into predictable channels. Then he moved the ship into the shadows of the nebula, striking from directions that seemed impossible. It was dangerous. It risked everything. But Kale had learned long ago that humans thrived on risk when guided by ingenuity. The fleet faltered, then broke apart under the pressure of the ship's relentless unpredictability. Kale smiled, knowing that humans could turn even desperation into victory. Still, the battle had taken its toll. The hull bore scars, systems were overworked, and Kale felt the weight of the fight pressing against him. Yet there was exhilaration in survival, in knowing that humanity had faced impossible odds and prevailed, not through raw power, but through creativity, courage, and intuition. He looked at the stars outside the viewport, distant and cold. The nebula shimmered faintly, a witness to what humans could achieve. Kale realized something profound. The galaxy would never again see humans as insignificant. They had reclaimed the forsaken ship, turned it into the deadliest weapon in the void, and done so through the singular force that made humans unique, their minds. The AI pulsed softly, a constant presence beside him. "They will come again," it said in its alien voice, calm yet observant. "The galaxy will respond." Kale nodded. "Let them," he said. "We're ready." And somewhere, beyond the nebula, the first signals of a new threat were detected. Ships from systems far more powerful, fleets that had never seen humans as a threat. But Kale didn't fear them. Humans had survived extinction, had survived war, had survived impossibility. He knew that human ingenuity would once again prevail. He floated through the ship's corridors, inspecting systems, recalibrating weapons, reinforcing shields. Every adjustment was calculated, yet flexible. Every choice was human, every instinct alive. The forsaken vessel was no longer dead. It was alive, thriving, and learning. Kale stopped at the central core, placing his hand on the pulsating energy. "We're just getting started," he said. "The galaxy doesn't know it yet, but humans are in control now." Outside, the stars shone indifferently, vast and endless. But inside the ship, in the Shadow Nebula, something had changed. A human had taken what the galaxy had forsaken, and in doing so had become a force beyond prediction. Kale smiled, feeling the hum of the ship in response. He knew that part 3 of this war was not just about survival. It was about proving that humans could not only adapt, but dominate through intelligence, courage, and unpredictability. The alien fleet would return. It would be stronger. It would be organized. But Kale had learned the greatest lesson any human mechanic could teach the galaxy. No technology, no strategy, no protocol could overcome the creativity and courage of a human mind. The Shadow Nebula was no longer a graveyard. It was a proving ground. And Kale Merrick, with the forsaken warship alive beneath his hands, was ready to show the galaxy what it truly meant to be human. Kale Merrick stood in the heart of the ship, hands on the alien controls, feeling the hum of the forsaken vessel beneath him. The Shadow Nebula stretched out like a dark ocean, stars flickering through the mist. Ahead, the alien armada approached, more numerous, more disciplined, and far deadlier than any force Kale had faced before. The human mechanic's grin was calm, almost serene. He had survived impossible odds before. He had turned what others saw as a dead ship into the deadliest war machine in the galaxy. And now, he would show the universe why humanity could never be underestimated. "Status report," Kale said, voice steady. All systems operational, the AI responded. Its alien tones hummed softly. Hull integrity at 92%. Weapons fully charged. Shields at 95%. Enemy fleet approaching in 3 standard maneuvers. Kale nodded. Good. Let's make this a show they'll never forget. The first wave of attackers came swiftly, lasers slicing through the void. The alien fleet had learned from the previous encounters. They anticipated Kale's improvisation, predicted his movements, but they had not anticipated the human mind's capacity for true unpredictability. Kale tilted the ship, twisting through the dense clouds of the nebula. He activated the gravitic projectors, pulling asteroids into precise trajectories. One by one, the alien vessels collided with debris, their formations shattered. Kale fired the ship's energy cannons in rapid bursts, targeting engines and shields rather than hulls. He wanted to disable, to confuse, to demonstrate human precision under pressure. But this was only the beginning. From the edge of sensors came the flagship of the Armada, massive, heavily armored, bristling with weapons. Kale's pulse quickened, not from fear but from exhilaration. The real test was here. The galaxy's most feared warship was coming, and a human mechanic would face it head-on. He thought fast. The aliens expected a direct assault. Kale smiled. He would give them the opposite. He reconfigured the ship's engines to mimic an energy signature of multiple vessels. On sensors, it appeared as if a small fleet had emerged from the shadows, spreading out in confusing patterns. The flagship commander barked orders, trying to coordinate the attack. Lasers fired, missiles launched, but Kale's illusions and misdirections kept him safe. He slipped between beams, weaving unpredictably, always just out of reach. Improvise. Adapt. Survive, Kale muttered, repeating the mantra that had carried him through every encounter. And the ship responded as if alive, as if it understood the human instinct that guided it. Then came the moment of truth. The flagship surged forward, aiming to crush him in a direct attack. Kale activated the ship's gravitic projectors at maximum capacity, bending space slightly, creating a corridor that would funnel the flagship into a trap. Using the nebula's density, he caused the massive vessel to miscalculate its trajectory. Now, Kale whispered, he unleashed the ship's full power. Energy beams fired in complex, unpredictable sequences. Shields shifted and morphed with every strike. Gravimetric fields flung asteroids into the flagship, ramming its hull and crippling engines. The alien warship shuddered, then faltered. The fleet commander's voice crackled over comms. Impossible. How? Kale grinned. Humans improvise, he said simply. The alien armada was in chaos. Vessels collided with debris, or retreated in confusion. Kyle moved through the battlefield with unmatched precision, striking weak points, disabling weapons, creating openings where none should exist. Every move was calculated yet unpredictable, human ingenuity in action. But Kale knew this could not last forever. The flagship remained a threat, and reinforcements would arrive. He needed a final move, a decisive strike that would cement humanity's place in the galaxy. He accessed the ship's core, pushing the engines and weapons to their absolute limits. The ship shuddered under the strain, energy readings spiking dangerously. Kale ignored the warnings. Humans had always thrived under pressure, had always survived when the odds were impossible. He devised a plan that no alien could predict. Using the gravitic projectors, he created a massive vortex, drawing asteroids, debris, and enemy ships into a precise formation. The flagship, too confident, entered the trap. Kale fired energy beams in perfect synchrony, overloading shields, destroying engines, and crippling its command systems. The flagship fell silent, drifting lifeless through the nebula. The remaining alien ships hesitated, then began a slow, cautious retreat. The galaxy had witnessed the unthinkable. A single human had defeated the Armada's heart. Kale floated in the command deck, catching his breath. The ship pulsed softly beneath him, alive and aware. It was more than a weapon now. It was a symbol of human resilience, ingenuity, and determination. Where others saw limits, humans saw opportunity. Where others saw death, humans saw survival. Through the comms, scattered alien signals sent warnings and alerts. But Kale ignored them. He had proven what he came to prove. Humanity could not be dismissed, could not be underestimated, could not be ignored. He activated long-range sensors, scanning the galaxy. Every civilization that had once dismissed humans now had evidence of their capabilities. A mechanic, alone, had reclaimed a forsaken warship and turned it into a force beyond imagination. Kale's mind raced with possibilities. The galaxy was vast, filled with threats, but also with opportunities. He could fight, explore, or forge alliances. He could shape the future with the unique strength of human creativity. The AI pulsed beside him. Kale, the galaxy has noticed. Responses will come. Kale nodded. Let them, he said. They'll see why humans survive. He floated to the observation deck, looking out at the stars. The Shadow Nebula, once a place of death and abandonment, now glimmered with potential. The derelict warship, now alive and sentient, had become a beacon of human capability. And for the first time, Kale realized that this was more than a victory. It was a statement. Humanity, long underestimated and overlooked, had claimed its place in the galaxy, not through brute force alone, but through ingenuity, courage, and determination. Kale touched the central console, feeling the hum of the ship resonate with his heartbeat. "We're just getting started," he whispered. "The galaxy doesn't know it yet, but humans are ready and will never back down." From the shadows, distant fleets recalculated. The galaxy had seen what humans could do. They would come again, stronger and smarter. But Kale did not fear them. He had the forsaken ship, alive and powerful, guided by a human mind that refused to surrender. The stars outside were cold and silent, but within the ship a new energy thrummed, a partnership between human and machine that no alien force could match. Kale smiled. The galaxy had been warned. Humans were no longer weak. Humans were unstoppable, and somewhere, in the depths of space, the message spread. A human mechanic has claimed the forsaken warship. A new force has awakened. The deadliest war machine in the galaxy is now guided by humanity. Kale looked out into the void, eyes sharp, mind alert. Adventure, challenge, danger. They were not threats. They were opportunities. The galaxy would test him again. But he knew one thing with certainty. Human ingenuity would always prevail. The Shadow Nebula shimmered, the stars reflecting on the ship's hull. AL floated through the corridors, checking systems, preparing for whatever might come next. The forsaken ship, now alive, responded to his every thought, his every instinct. Together they were unstoppable. And so, humanity had reclaimed a forsaken ship, defeated the galaxy's deadliest armada, and proven once and for all that where technology fails, human creativity succeeds. Kale Merrick, the mechanic who no one expected to matter, had changed the galaxy. The stars outside were silent witnesses to a new era, an era where humans were no longer underestimated. He smiled. "Let's go find our next challenge." And with that, the forsaken ship, alive, powerful, and guided by the sharpest human mind, vanished into the stars, ready to shape the galaxy in humanity's image.